It is. It's wonderful.
What people will do for a little entertainment system. I'm here for the PlayStation 2. The best entertainment system to hit the world. It's gonna be great. It plays DVD. That's a plus. That's a plus, am I right? And some like non-stop action games.
What time do you have? It's like 2.5K.
All right, everybody, we got 15 seconds here. You want to get a countdown? Let's go! Let's go! 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to Dead Malls, your one-stop shop for the coziest mall explorations and everything history related. In tonight's episode, we leave Kansas and finally make it into the great state of Texas, seeing two of the most liminal and Windows 96-esque Dead Malls I've ever seen in my ventures, and I'm so excited to share them with you all. Starting us off today though, we have the Northern DFW Metro's untouched late 80s jewel, Vista Ridge Mall, or as the mall likes to call itself nowadays, the Vista. And while the directory promises tall tales of new shops coming soon, in tonight's episode we'll see for ourselves, as I dodge security, just how bad things really have gone for this struggling mall, and how far Lewisville's 80s masterpiece has fallen. But before I spoil any of tonight's episode, I want to take a moment and shout out our winner who was able to successfully guess the next mall. Very nice job, Kat. If you'd like to have your chance of being shouted out in the next episode, be sure to stick around for the next challenge. Anyways, let's dive in here, be the only one in the parking lot, then cross over the old footbridge, tell the story of, and see how Vista Ridge Mall was doing as of my visit in December of 2024. The first impressions I got when walking in the Vista Ridge, the Vista, were just how peaceful and beautiful it was in the mall. The music, while I can't play any of it here because it's copyright, was this really soft and very mellow jazz, which sort of followed me throughout the mall. But the echoey music really added to the sheer scale and gave the mall a very haunting, eerie vibe. If there weren't any other people walking around, I would definitely feel more like I was walking through the Rolling Giant's empty catacombs, and like he could come around any of those marble corners at any moment. We'll talk more about that amazing stonework in a minute, but first, I'll let you enjoy the mall. The mall's story begins just over 4 decades ago, in the mid-1980s. At the time, the freeways, and the offices and houses that surrounded it didn't even exist. Back then, the area was just ranch land along Interstate 35. But the quiet fields between the growing town of Lewisville and rapidly expanding suburbs of Dallas were soon seen as prime real estate, and soon enough, a developer called the Lomas Realty Group would swoop in, buying up 1,000 acres for their largest project ever, Vista Ridge, consisting not just of the largest mall in the Southwest, but also miles upon miles of offices and roads along the proposed Highway 121 expansion, a new freeway, which would one day become the Sam Rayburn Tollway. With the mall portion of the plan primarily headed and funded by Sears subsidiary, Homart, who had a knack for constructing malls by this time, construction would quickly pick up on the site by 1987, with opening planned for summer of 1989. Classic sign of the end times, choked off business from inside of the mall. Surprisingly, aside from an Asian food court and a theater, this mall has absolutely 0 anchors left. Well, 0 that open into the mall. Instead, the tenants are sparsely dotted here and there, just enough to barely keep the lights on. And thank goodness there's so much natural light in here, otherwise that would be a serious issue. Homart had picked the mall site to be located at the south corner of Interstate 35 and around Grove Road. Vista Ridge Mall was positioned for the future projected growth of the area, theoretically. You see, right as the mall was beginning construction in 87 and 88, a massive realty crash was hitting Texas hard, and suddenly the miles of office zoning around the mall didn't look as glamorous as it had years prior. Numerous contracts would be terminated, and even some of the mall retailers would pull out. Around the mall, the miles of freshly paved roads would sit unused for decades, and even the planned freeway was put on hold. However, in the middle of all of this fuss, Vista Ridge Mall was planning its very own grand opening ceremonies, after a few months' delay, getting ready to show off just how beautiful of a mall it really was. Ladies and gentlemen, after avoiding a security guard, we have made it to the mall's incredible center court. Decked in palm trees, Christmas lights, tile designs, and every other amazing late 80s aesthetic you can think of, this was just so cool. A truly vaporwave center court, all underneath of the huge central rotunda. And we'll come back here more times later on, but I just couldn't get enough of how beautiful this was. And the scale. I mean, you really have to be there in person, because the video just doesn't do justice to what it's actually like to be there and be dwarfed by all of those giant iron gables. Coming up here, we have the former Sears Court, which of course is the most beautiful. Granted, it was once a lot better, at one point not being spoiled by a giant playground, and also at one point featuring a working fountain, and even galaxy projections on the domed roof. Thankfully, I did get to see the fountain in working order during our older fall 2023 footage, though the water was really gross. And it seems as of modern day, it's been shut off and drained, probably to save as many pennies as they can.
That's so cool.
Oh, look at the case.
On Thursday, October 4th, 1989, Vista Ridge Mall, with one of the most imposing marble and tile clad layouts I've ever seen, would open its turquoise doors for business, greeting travelers with its neon signs and stunning all who ventured in with its sheer size and architectural beauty. 76 stores would open upon day one, with many more opening in the coming weeks and months. Major anchors to stake them all down day one were Home-Mart Sears and Arkansas-based Dillard's, the latter of which remains today, yet severed from the mall and downgraded to a clearance center. Vista Ridge would open with dozens of iconic name brands, instantly making it a popular shopping destination for the booming metro suburbs. Weeks after the grand opening, a brand new 12-screen theaters would open in the mall center court, known simply as Movies 12. But what shoppers found in terms of the mall's aesthetics is exactly what you see today. The tall ceilings, tile flooring throughout, a fountain, exposed escalators, palm trees and tropical plants, skylights, and breathtaking views throughout each of its many marble and stone-clad courts. And I, for one, am such a big fan of the stonework in this mall. Its clear effort and care was put into the design. The stone flows so well with the 80s designs we're usually used to seeing in these malls. JCPenney would open as the mall's third official anchor on August 1st, 1990, and Foley's would come into the picture a year later in 91 to round out the cast of Vista Ridge's anchor lineup. And with these names, a bustling food court, a movie theater, and over 120 stores throughout its 1.5 million square foot layout, Vista Ridge entered a seemingly endless golden age. The mid to late 90s were very kind to the mall. However, things move fast in the suburban sprawl, and not even 10 years into its life, and the retail climate in the area was already changing. In 1997, Grapevine Mills would open just 4 miles away. And while it did have a positive effect on the neighboring malls for a bit, the turn of the millennia instead brought on a new dark age, and an era of constant retail cannibalization. Once upon the second level, I got an entirely new appreciation for the sheer scale of the mall. When there's absolutely nobody else to dot the long stretches of vacant corridors, the whole mall easily picks up that surreal liminal feeling. And with the echoey music, it was just super eerie. I was even being followed around by somebody for a short time who kept talking to himself under his breath. It was a little creepy, but I eventually ended up escaping him and continued to enjoy the beautiful ambiance. At the start of the video, you saw a short clip from when the PS2 came out in March of 2000, a midnight release filmed at this mall in the old GameStop. You guys remember midnight releases? Gosh, now I feel old. The 2000s were the last golden era for retail at Vista Ridge, as months later in August of 2000, Stone Briar Center opened just 11 miles away. And a year after that, in 2001, Taubman Center's newest amalgamation, the Shops at Willow Bend, would open its 1.3 million square feet of space just 8 miles away. Now with 3 immediate competitors, all of which the same size, if not larger and more modern, foot traffic would inevitably begin to decrease at Vista Ridge. The mid-2000s were a wild time for the area, as between 2004 and 2006, the Sam Rayburn Tollway, the original proposed freeway, would finally be constructed, bringing an influx of copy-and-paste homes and sprawly suburban apartment complexes to dot the landscape once thought to be Vista Ridge's office empire. In September of 2006, Foley's would become Macy's, and Cinemark would close the 12-screen in the center court, walling off the space and opening a brand new 15-screen theater less than 500 feet away, in the mall's never-occupied fifth anchor spot, which for 16 years sat as a big patch of grass. A really stupid move that I don't understand, but I guess that's just business. This move has left the original movie's 12th theater abandoned for nearly 20 years, as the theater remains to this day behind that first level drywall we saw earlier. On the first floor of this old Sears, a new Asian food court called the Zion Market has opened, and that's been one of the best and most positive changes to the dying mall. You saw a bit of it earlier, but I wasn't about to go in and film all of that. We'll get to it in the history, but I just thought it was really cool and worth bringing up. I'm not sure what they're doing with this second floor here, but it's definitely the area in the mall with the most activity going on. There were some people in the food court, though compared to the rest of the mall, that's not much of a compliment. and a lot of promises of eateries coming soon. But I'm not sure what to believe, because you're seeing footage that was spliced together between two Vista Ridge visits, one from a year ago and the other from just a few days ago. And as you can see, not a whole lot has changed, so yeah. It is still offering the best views of the center court though. I would love to come back here sometime at night. I can only imagine how amazing the lit up rotunda looks once the sun is set.
Baby, come to me, make all of your dreams come true. I haven't forgot what turns you
I feel
on.
good.
I'll sing you another song to put you right in the mood. We'll get straight to the
After the shaky toss-up that was the late 2000s recession, Vista Ridge was really beginning to struggle, as closed stores became the norm around the halls. You of course still had your names like Aeropostale, American Eagle, Rue 21, Wet Seal, Hollister, and The Gap, but the older mall names that populated good chunks of the hallways were being phased out in a new age. Justice, Loft, KB Toys, Gymboree, New York & Company were all closing, and if not left empty, then being taken over by small, secondhand mom-and-pop stores, which usually didn't last too long. The next bit of history comes in the form of a rather depressing incident, which took place within these halls. On January 14th, 2013, 25-year-old Thaddeus Davis entered the mall, soon getting into an argument with somebody he had a relationship with. Upon being walked out by security, he would pull a gun on himself, committing suicide. Things really seemed to slow down around Vista Ridge after this incident, at least on the management end. Owners GGP were really starting to understand the great burden they were bearing, and would decide to sell the mall off to a local businessman by the name of John Bushman in October of 2017. But this was more than just a sale, as Vista Ridge would become an entirely different mall altogether. Unfortunately, folks, the parlor of entertainment is closed for business. You will have to get all of your entertainment needs elsewhere, as this location is no longer in service. In 2017, John Bushman, owner of ICA Properties, would buy the mall for just $17.3 million. A brand new nameplate was put up covering up the neon Vista Ridge sign and renaming the mall to Music City Mall Lewisville. ICA's other mall, Music City Mall Odessa, is still open to this day, once a sort of stepsister to Vista Ridge. On September 18, 2018, Music City Mall Lewisville would hold its official grand reopening, with Disney Channel stars Olivia Rodrigo and Kevin Quinn making appearances. The mall would be given new Music City theming and branding, new nameplates, and even a sculpture of the Ten Commandments, which both Music City malls featured. A lot of it has since been taken down, but some remnants can still be seen, like the live music in the center court banners. And that Music City did bring. From 2017 through the pandemic to 2022, the mall's center court became a hub for live performances by local artists, which would be held 7 days a week, often multiple times a day. Mall events like Malloween, the annual Christmas tree lighting ceremony, the Dallas Comic Show, and ToyCon would all find a home at Music City, and it would even be home to a K-pop festival in 2019. However, these public events didn't change the fact that it was still a struggling mall, and in time, the dying department stores which flanked the mall would bring it all down. Before we head out, I had to bring up this mall's other amazing water fountain. That's right, at one point Vista Ridge had two water fountains. In the before times, the glass box, which sits inside the staircase in this hexagon court, was a 2-story waterfall, with streams of water from the top cascading down in dancing patterns day after day. I'm not sure how long ago H2O was cut to the feature, but if you look closely at the top, you can still see the water spouts. So I wonder if they can still be turned on all these years later. Like almost every mall we've covered before it, the giant anchors, which were once staples in the community and the retail scene, fell out of favor. The news came in May of 2018 that Sears would be the first to go amid the retail apocalypse, and Sears would close their doors in August of 2018. A year later, in August of 2019, the space would become the Zion Market, a Korean grocery store with food court shops on the old first floor. Actually a super cool reuse of the space that actually brings people back into the mall. Unfortunately, Dillard's would sour the opening of the Zion Market by downgrading their store to a clearance center and closing off mall access that same year. By summer of 2020, JCPenney, in their own bankruptcy, would announce the closure of the Vista Ridge location, with final day sales being held on October 18th, 2020. But to wind down the year after year of big anchor closures was Macy's, whom had stuck it out the longest but eventually found themselves in the same sinking ship as everyone else. Macy's would close its doors on March 21st, 2021. Leaving nothing behind but a page of paper advertising their other surviving locations. In August of 2022, ICA would sell Music City Mall to a development firm called 1000 South Vermont LLC, whom would strip the mall of its Music City theming, end live performances, remove the 10 Commandments, and simply rename it to the Vista. Though the exterior entrances still call it Vista Ridge. The real reason why this urban development group got their hands on the mall, however, was to completely redevelop it. And it seems as of late 2024 that's still the plan, as $200 million has been approved for the Vista Grove Shopping Center. which will have large portions of the mall demolished for new outdoor amenities, housing, offices, and entertainment, while also keeping the giant iconic rotunda. Renders of the proposed project show a vibrant new community which will basically come to inhabit parts of the property, while 2 portions of the mall and several of its anchor buildings will be kept intact. Overall, I really like these plans. They breathe new life into what's been seen as a blighted eyesore of a shopping center for years now, while also keeping alive bits of its history and heritage. It seems as though plans are on track to begin work in 2025, but I guess time will be the real judge on these ideas. For now at least, as of this video coming out, the mall is still open, and you can still find yourself aimlessly wandering its courts. So, if that interests you, I'd say get down there, because you probably don't have long. If you're still watching, I want to thank you so much for joining me for tonight's video. Vista Ridge Mall was such a fascinating explore. It felt like a mall which surprised with each zig and zag, and wowed me with something new in each court. Thank you to all of you who recommended it. It was quite a worthy interstate stop, and honestly, I can't recommend it enough myself. If you enjoyed tonight's video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. If you'd like to support me further, consider checking out the Patreon for behind the scenes content and even more. Next week we'll be live at a mall of your choosing, but 2 weeks from now, on December 28th, we'll be back once again, this time visiting one of the most Windows XP malls I have ever seen in my life. A giant empty structure with stone pillars and clouds painted on the walls and ceilings in some spots, which nowadays is the only oasis for turtles miles around. Guess which mall we'll be at, and I'll shout you out in the next episode. But until then, have yourselves a lovely evening, and peace out guys. See you later.